Mount St. Helens is approximately 70 miles north of Portland, Oregon, and 184 miles south of Seattle, Washington, in a remotely populated area of southwestern Washington. Before the eruption and warning signs, the area around Mount St. Helens was an outdoor adventurer's dream. Plenty of lakes to boat, swim, and fish, summer camps along its shores, hiking for all levels in the mountains and the valleys. But the warning signs were there. Smoke, steam, and sulfur rose almost daily starting summer of 1979 and could be seen for miles around. Bulges and small craters started to appear on the top and side of the mountain as seen here. Eventually, cracks started to appear throughout the whole mountain and got larger and larger over time. As seen in the diagram, magma was starting to find its way up from below. On May 18, a 5.1 earthquake was the first sign of one of the largest landslides in recorded history. Ash and smoke rose to the heights of over 16 miles into the atmosphere in less than 10 minutes. Its toxic fumes and volcanic debris sent on a journey that people only had guesses of where it might come down. As seen in this diagram, the whole side of the mountain slid away to allow the escaping material within the mountain. Traveling between 110 and 155 miles per hour, approximately 2.9 kilometers cubed of material raced down the mountain, covering and destroying everything in its path. The flow consisted of volcanic ash, rocks, water from snow, and materials picked up along the way. The travel took it over 55 miles down the mountainside and through the waterways. Over 18,000 acres of forest was destroyed, which would have equated about 4 billion board feet of usable timber. Trees that were left standing were covered in ash, mud, and chemicals from the volcano, which killed many more of them later on. Streams turned into some of the largest rivers in America for a few moments during all the groundwater and snowmelt. The flow carved channels down the mountain 50 plus feet deep, and still the flow was well above the original landscape level. Over 200 houses were destroyed beyond repair, and it is believed that at least 60 people lost their lives that day. Pumice, the size that can fit in your hand to the size of a man, shot out of the volcano that day. This is an eyewitness account of the events.
I had to get out of there. I started down the valley, look in my rearview mirror, and there's just a wall of debris, mud, steam, rocks, boulders, and full-size trees just rolling along. The whole valley's disappearing behind me. Came down here, ended up right here. I was right about here. The whole little area here just disappeared in front of me completely. It's just a big explosion of mud and trees. And I was just blocked off. At that point, I just jumped out of my car, grabbed my film camera, and I went right up there on that ridge where I had a view just over the trees of the mountain, and I could see what was happening. I opened the door and the alarm started going off, but it was kind of the least of my concerns at that point. The ground is moving, I could feel the earthquakes. The wind is being sucked up towards the mountain, towards the blast. By this time you can hear the mountain rumbling, constant rumbling, grinding, growling sound. I had this huge cloud of material, lightning and blue and purple colors, rumbling to lightning hitting the ground. I had to get away from that.
Ash could be seen for hundreds of miles away up in the atmosphere. As seen here, the larger ash particles fell first, with the smaller particles going on. Ash is actually made up of a lot of compounds that float through the air. They are smaller, but most of them are made up of small pieces of volcanic glass that go up into the atmosphere. This is a blown up version of that glass. And as seen here, it can go up to several hundred kilometers away through the atmosphere. Not only is it hard to see in the volcanic ash, it is a high risk to human health, to vehicles, to appliances, and everyday life. The destruction that it brings and the cleanup that it requires afterwards is very high to continue with normal life. Plants that are covered in ash due to the acidity and the covering of the leaves are sure to die. As shown here, you can see the amount of land that was gone. This is the largest boulder ever seen in a landslide in the world. As seen here from NASA satellite, you can see the before and after effects of the ground around the volcano. Large and small rocks were shifted due to the landslides. As seen here, the top of the mountain turned into a moonscape after the eruption. You can see that over 1,000 feet worth of land was taken away from the eruption. The old summit over 9,000 feet, with the new summit not even 8,000 feet. Whole forests were destroyed and replaced by rocks. Forests and lakes will never be the same again. As described before, large trenches were made from the flowing of water and debris down the mountains, including man-made ones to let out the water that had collected from the runoff. Silt was found many hundred miles down the rivers and waterways for many years to come. As you can see here, the sulfur levels were very high at the first and then have tapered off, but every once in a while spike back up. But life continued shortly after the eruption. Small plants including flowers and brush appeared around the mountain area. Shortly after, the U.S. Forest Service took on a project of planting trees that grew into forests around the devastation area. And as the years have gone, more life has come back, plus large forests have replaced the areas that were desolate after the eruption. Life appears to come back closer to normal as it was before the eruption, but you can still see the effects of the landslides and the fallen trees from before. Hot spots are still found on the mountain of escaping gases from below. The ground underneath the magma is pushing up and creating new lava domes inside of the mountain. Hot spots are still found even today. Scientists continue to monitor, watching for future events that will happen on Mount St. Helens. The following are pictures from family vacation up to Mount St. Helens a couple years back, showing that life is back to normal again with little effect that you see from before except for the broken mountain. This is what the scientists believe is underneath the mountain, that there's still magma sitting below. As shown here, over the last several hundred to several thousand years ago, most of the Cascade Mountains have either erupted or were active. And the lava domes continue to rise today in Mount St. Helens.